Laser sights can deter threats and aid in quick target identification, enhancing your ability to protect your family, home, and country. Crimson Trace, making laser sights standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
All right, back with you, Tom Gresham here. Yeah, the number's pretty easy. Just Tom Talk Gun will get you in here if there's something on your mind. A gun you want to know about, a range report that you would like to offer, something you've taken out to the range, you had some fun with, or, just stories about introducing people to the shooting sports. It's always fun to take people out and go, hey, you want to come shoot something with me? Don't worry about it. I got the ammo. I'll bring the guns. I got extra earmuffs and eye protection. Just come on out. And then you teach them to shoot a little bit, and they go, wow. This is really fun. I know. That's why we do it. It's fun. We're talking about, obviously, the latest mass murder. This one in Santa Fe, Texas. Young man goes in, starts shooting people. Everybody's going, what can we do? What can we do? Throwing up our hands, running in the air, screaming and shouting. There are things that we as society can do. We can certainly get serious about security. We can take seriously the idea that there's a lot of mental health problems out there. We can try to get people to pay more attention when people are sending out signals. But as I say, my question always, and it drives them nuts when I say this, and I always say, well, yeah, and then what? What do you mean? Well, when that doesn't work, what are you going to do? You want to drive them to the point where they're thinking, okay, the bad guy is now in place, and he's starting to hurt or kill people. Now, what is your plan? And there's a plan. You can say what we're going to do with schools, but let's expand it to wherever you happen to be, schools, parking lots, malls, wherever things are. And let's spin it around, not what are they going to do, but what are you going to do? What are you personally going to do? What are you able to do? What are you trained to do? What have you practiced to do? Are you ready? Is really what it amounts to. This past week, we spent 4 days up near Jackson, Mississippi at Boondock's Training Academy. It's a fairly new facility there. I think of it as kind of a gun sight south. It is top-notch, got some really good instructors, and we had a great time. We're shooting some pieces for our Guns and Gear television show. And in the process, met a fellow that wanted to have come on the show with us, and he comes in right now, John Roberts. He is a trainer with Boondock's Training Academy, also a decades-long career in the military special forces training, State Department, VIP security. It goes on and on. John, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Tom, thank you. Thanks for having me on the program, and also thanks for all you do to support the Second Amendment, educate people about issues surrounding guns, and for conservation. I'm concerned right now is how can I listen to your show while I'm talking on the phone with you?
I had a thought that you have an interesting perspective because you have trained with and also trained some of the very top Tier 1 shooters, people who go places, do things, kick indoors, the high-speed, low-drag folks, but you also train people who, this is your basic pistol class. That's a wide range. Yeah,
I've had some interesting experiences, certainly rubbed shoulders with some of the best, not necessarily putting myself in that category, but definitely know who my heroes are, and I know where to look to find great information. And, you mentioned in your introduction here about the horrific event there in Texas, and, I definitely would like to talk a little bit about that. There's no way, let me preface this conversation by saying there is no way to assess or mitigate the grief of those parents and the friends who lost people there in Santa Fe. I'm not even going to try. Every one of these events is horrific. And I think we also need to get some perspective. Again, not minimizing loss, but sometimes even in very highly charged emotional circumstances, we've got to step back and look at facts some as well.
Mm-hmm.
And along those lines, I saw a headline on CNN on the internet just a couple of days ago. It said, we're only 20 weeks into 2018, and there have already been 22 school shootings where someone was hurt or killed. Wow, that's pretty sensational. But when you dig down a little further, and out of those 22 school shootings, you're seeing someone was shot with a BB gun on a playground, someone had a drug deal go bad in a parking lot of a university someplace. Mm-hmm. Again, that sounds pretty sensational, and we got to step back from that and then let's look at a balanced perspective.
Well, and it's what CNN does. I mean, they're trying to promote the concept that these are happening everywhere to frighten people into changing public policy because they're not really reporters. They are agenda-driven participants now. Precisely.
And, we've got to get back down to the fact that, then you look at another piece of news. It says Axios News, a more balanced perspective that says, hey, look, since 1999 in the Columbine high school shooting, that's almost 20 years ago, in school shootings where 5 or more people were killed, there have actually been 10 of those. And out of those 10, you had 128 fatalities that include the shooters themselves, suicide or death during the event. So that's a number of 128 losses in these mass shootings that would include 5 or more people in schools. That's over a 20-year period. Now, again, I'm not minimizing or mitigating the loss of those young people. 128 fatalities is huge. But then we look at other statistics that say, hey, motor vehicle crashes in the United States in 2016 alone, that's 2,820 kids, 13 to 19 died.
Well, John, let me jump in here because I want to ask you, when we were having our conversations, and by the way, I've seen John shoot. You may want to minimize your ability in what you do, but I've seen some of the best people shoot, and you're right up there. You mentioned something when we were talking about you want to at least dry fire for 10 minutes every day, and it got me to thinking. I was thinking about the level of commitment. First of all, I got a big overall question for you. Can a person who says, okay, I'm just an average guy, I'm an average woman, can that person achieve a useful level of training and expertise to be able to help with a mass murder situation in a mall, in a school, wherever it happens to be?
Yeah, that's a debatable point there. In fact, we did a church security seminar yesterday out of Boondock here in Jackson, and the level of training to provide someone competence in their own self-defense, as in using a firearm as a tool of last resort, okay, the level is pretty high, but it's not exceedingly high. That's to provide their own personal self-defense. When you take that up to the next level, where you're not only responsible for your own self-defense, but you're actually defending other people whom you may not even know, like in a school situation, that begins to be the domain of professionals, law enforcement people, or people with more training, because you really then get into rules of engagement issues, legalities, and real good proficiency. I mean, anybody that has done sort of military police shooting, any of the federal agencies where you are required to carry a gun and use lethal force, training standard is high. And that being said, a person can get there, absolutely, because we do it all. I was just going to say, and that's kind of the question. I'm looking at this wide range of people, everybody from I just got my carry permit to people who say I'm a Grand Master at IDPA and IPSC, and going, well, you know what? Those people that are the Grand Master started from I just got my first pistol. Absolutely. So we know that you can get there. It just depends on what's the level of dedication, what training resources is someone willing to commit, and most importantly, how much time are they willing to practice? Because you can get, as I can attest, you can do many sheep dip courses every 2 years. You can go to a really fancy, you can name any name you want, Bob Latham, Larry Vickers, anybody, and you can do their course for 3 days. But as you and I discussed last week, you won't come away after 3 days shooting like Rob Latham.
No. Or John Roberts, Hey, John, let me ask you a quick. I got to hold you over. I got to take a quick break here. We'll come back. I want to talk about, let's come up with a quick plan if somebody says, okay, I want to make the commitment. What do I have to do? And I think we can come up with some basics of training and practice that say, okay, this is going to get you to a level of X. And we'll talk about that. We're talking with John Roberts from Boondock's Training Academy. By the way, look him up on the web, a really good training facility in northern Mississippi. I'm Tom Gresham. We'll be right back.
It's really pretty simple. Your carry gun is a life-saving device. It must be with you. That's what the Springfield Armory XDS is all about. Small enough to carry, big enough to shoot comfortably, shockingly slim, single stack, with a 3.3-inch or 4-inch barrel, available in 9, 40, or 45. Highly accurate, great trigger, fiber optic front sight for fast aimed fire. The XDS at springfield-armory.com. That's springfield-armory.com.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
Brownells has gone retro. Check out Brownells' new line of retro AR-15 and AR-style 308 rifles at brownells.com/retro. Whether you're looking for Eugene Stoner's original 308 design, the famous M16A1, Air Force 601, or the XM177 carbine, Brownells has the classic, new production, old-school rifle of your dreams. Own the firearm you used in basic training, carried in service, or that Grandpa always talks about. See more at brownells.com/retro.
Tactical professionals who put their lives on the line every day depend on Surefire. Since 1979, Surefire has designed, machined, and assembled the finest flashlights, weapon-mounted lights, hearing protection, and suppressors right here in the U.S. Surefire, offering a best-in-class warranty and customer service, and used by more military special operations, SWAT teams, and hard-use end users than any other brand. Surefire, American-built, American-strong. Visit Surefire.com. That's Surefire.com.
Talking with John Roberts from the Boondocks Training Academy. It's in near Jackson, Mississippi. John, when we left, I was throwing out the idea of maybe a plan. If somebody says, okay, I want to take this seriously, I have my carry permit, maybe they've been to Boondocks, maybe they've been to Gun Sight, maybe not. But you mentioned in it, and the thing that's interesting is you said the same thing that every school says, which is, when you come to our school, it doesn't make you ready. As soon as you walk away, your skills start going down. I mean, every single day you don't practice, your skills diminish, and you have to practice. That doesn't, and you were saying something that got my attention. That doesn't mean you have to go shoot every day, does it?
Right. That's right. But you need to practice mentally and probably dry fire some too.
Every day.
Create that what-if scenario. It depends on what part of shooting sports you are participating in. I mean, look, every athlete that performs at a top level does some sort of visualization before they compete or in their training regimen. And it's the same with shooters. Top shooters are doing visualization. They're doing all kinds of different practice drills. But I would say absolutely, if a person thinks they want to get into this sport, whichever branch of the sport they're into, I'd say start with that gun fit. Figure out what you're going to do with this gun. Is it bullseye shooting? Is it practical shooting? Is it self-defense? Get that right, because these are different tools that are purpose-built sort of for different kinds of applications in shooting sports. In the defensive world, I'd say definitely get that right fit, that right caliber, something that you feel and carry and that you will carry, probably the largest gun you can carry and will carry. And then you want to seek out professional training. Absolutely. Look, we see it every day down here at Boondocks. People have been saying, particularly in the South, I've been shooting all my life.
Yeah.
They know it all.
Yeah, and then they take their first class and they go, holy cow, I didn't know anything.
Exactly, and which is great. And like most things, shooting consists of mastering some fundamentals and some basics, and then enhancing those as you gain skill and mature in whatever sport you're doing. But get that professional training so that you can start building a foundation without having to unlearn bad habits.
And you need to become a student of all of this. It's like when you're talking about the visualization, I'm thinking about something I've talked about a lot, which is when you're sitting in your easy chair at home, do the what ifs. Okay, if I come up on my car and somebody's breaking in my car, I can either engage them or I can turn around and walk away and call the insurance company. And it's $100,000 to pull the trigger, even if you do it perfectly. And it costs the insurance company will get you a new car.
Yeah, Tom, that is so important. That concept right there, to run through those what-if scenarios. And I think you and I even mentioned we were running a class out here where we literally talked people through certain scenarios in the classroom, and then we went out with UTM's simulated munitions and shot. And we were shocked that even though someone can hear something, process it in a classroom, when they put it out on the street in practice, how they can forget it. And you really do involve all your senses in learning. So doing real scenario-based training with UTMs or live rounds, if you can do it, kind of anchors those thoughts. And I guarantee these folks that walked out into the parking lot and engaged that person that was stealing their car in our training or practice, they won't do that in real life.
Yeah, because you had already had the conversation with them. They said, okay, yeah, I got it. If that were to happen, then just let them have the car, and then you put them in the situation, and then they rush in to try to stop the guy from breaking into their car.
Yes, it's amazing, but that's part of being human. And there's certain things that as a human we have to do to anchor specific skills, and a lot of them are literally active training, kinesthetic kind of things where you actually have to do it. But I agree, absolutely. You got to play the what-if game everywhere you're going, a restaurant, wherever you are. When you're driving in a car, we do it sort of unconsciously. When you drive, if you're a proactive defensive driver, you're in your car, you're thinking about what's happening 2 stops ahead, or you should be looking hard.
Watch that car up there. If he comes into the intersection, what I'm going to do, that kind of a deal. Also, to your point earlier, which is when you first start off with this, your only goal is to take care of yourself and your family. And frankly, for about 98% of the folks in every situation, that's your goal. Take care of yourself and your family and get them out of harm's way. And very few people should think in terms of, I'm going to go save the world here, because we talked about this also. The more you do force-on-force training and real serious shoot house kind of training, the more you realize if you don't have a whole team of people behind you, like SWAT does, like military does, there's a high percentage chance that you're going to get shot in the middle of this deal.
Yes, absolutely. I'll plug a friend of mine, Mike Green, who's coming down here to do some shooting with us for carbine M4 stuff. Mike was served with me in the Army. He's done some really high-level shooting. Instructor, Charlie Company guy, did an awesome shooter. He was saying, hey, look, this is, green clearing is a team sport. When we do it in the Army, we've got a team of guys. We know their capabilities. We're using flashbangs, explosives. We're using violent entry and surprise. And we're doing it in the middle of the night. We're stacking the odds for success. Hey, that's not you're not coming in with a team. You're not coming in with flashbangs. You're not blowing a hole through the wall and not entering the door. You don't have that element of surprise. So the point is exactly what you just said. Hey, this is a team event for professionals if you're talking wound clearing.
Now, having said that, let's fast forward to, if you are a teacher and you have training and you really do know what you're doing, you actually have a particularly good situation if you stay in your room with your students, and if the bad guy's got to come through that door, you kind of own the door, don't you?
Absolutely, and that's what we teach, and that's what the NRA would endorse, unless you're in a situation where the bad guy is maybe between you and your family in your own home. Your your best advice is lock down in that secure room. From my experience as a State Department officer, looking every embassy house that I've lived in, we have safe rooms that are barred, gated, special exit bars on the windows, radio repeater in the room. And when we close that room, it's like a vault. It doesn't matter what's happening outside in the house. You could have 15 guys in hoods shooting stuff. Once you close that door in your safe room, you're pretty much in the vault. Yeah. And that's what I expect people in their normal home defense scenario to have a room, a place they go that's secure. Lock the door. Stay there. Wait for professionals to arrive. That being said, Tom, you and I agree that, hey, you are your own first responder, and waiting for someone to solve your problem is not a good plan. But in that situation, if you can go to a safe place, seek safe haven. Absolutely.
Absolutely. There you go. John Roberts, thank you so much for your help, with our TV show, your help here. Thank you for your service. I do appreciate that. I want to put out one more pitch for Boondocks. It is an impressive place with impressive trainers, and I'm going to encourage people to check it out and get down there or up there, depending on where you are.
Yeah. Tom, thanks very much. And you know what? I've still got a smile on my face from that video you sent me. I can't get that out of my mind. Thank you so much. That brightened my day. In fact, probably the whole week or maybe my lifetime, too. Appreciate it. It's great to see you last week. Thanks for having me on the show again. Thank you for what you do to support the Second Amendment. I appreciate it.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. He's talking about that crazy video I did. You can check it out. Go on YouTube. Just search for Idaho Passions. We also titled it Why We Hunt. And it's the story of my mule deer hunt last year. And I think the thing that got him laughing was the scenario when we were trying to put up the tent. It was... It doesn't make me look real smart. Let's just put it that way. Putting up a tent for the first time, you're going, directions? We don't need any directions. And, of course, we set up a time-lapse camera and shot the whole thing. Yeah, that was instructive. Okay. Excellent points John makes, and I guess I would just, at this point, invite you to weigh in. A lot of coverage there, a lot of things we talked about. Where are you on the scale? If something started to happen, would you go in? How would you handle it? And I know it varies and you don't know what the scenario is going to be, but what have you done with your thought process? And the other thing is, are you, I guess, and this is really the challenge, are you ready to take on the challenge? Are you ready to do what it takes? And it may be nothing more than spending 10 minutes a day doing dry firing, drawing empty gun, dry fired, draw empty gun, dry fire, again and again and again. Practice your mag changes. Are you willing to do that? Because I would consider that a minimum level. 866-TALK-GUN. What's your level of commitment?
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
All right, imagine this dad's sheer panic. He's working late. Bam, he gets an alert on his smartphone that his motion-activated Blink security camera detected something weird going on at home. He opens up the Blink app and sees a silhouette of a man peering through his kitchen window. He calls 911, and he alerts his wife. Crisis averted. Look, preventing threats like this is why Blink has sold more than 1 million of these motion-activated security cameras. It's the point of having home security, to help alert you before some creep breaks in, not after. That's why I trust Blink. Blink video cameras are wire-free, set up super fast, and run on batteries that last years. And Blink's live feed option lets you monitor your home from your smartphone. No contracts, no subscriptions. Here's the deal. Get 3 Blink cams for less than the other guys and an extra 15% off. Just go to blinkprotect.com/guntalk. That's blinkprotect.com/guntalk. You'll get that discount immediately if you go to that site. It's blinkprotect.com/guntalk. 866-TALK-GUN is the number here. Let's go to the phones. Line 1. Joe is with us out of Watertown, South Dakota. Joe, I guess you had a lesson that you learned somewhere along the way.
Yes, I do. I've recently established a good friendship with a fella. He's one of my best friends now. I've only known him about 5 years. went into the Marines at 17, did 8 years there, and then he's worked Homeland Security. He was San Diego County Border Patrol, TSA here in South Dakota, the head guy, and we were having a discussion this last late winter about the things that go down in this country as far as bad stuff. And I made the comment, I said, well, our government's number one job is to keep its citizens safe. And he says, no, it is not. And I says, well, sure it is. And he says, no, the government's number one job is to make you feel safe. And it's great that you point that out. You have before, and I know you know you need to keep hammering that home, that there is a difference between being safe and feeling safe. And we cannot depend on anybody but ourselves to keep us safe. And it's sad that it's like that. And
you know, Joe, I find it interesting that your friend. It's interesting. This is a guy who works for the government, and he's in security or protection or however you want to put it for the government. And he's telling you it's not the government's job to keep you safe. It's the government's job to make you feel as though you are safe. That's fascinating.
It is. And, you know, I like to think I'm a fairly intelligent person, but he points that out, and I didn't even have to ponder that but 2 seconds. And, yes, I told him, Jim, you are right. Yeah, that is the way it is. That's the realities of it. And to think you can depend on in that split second, they're not going to be there in seconds to protect you, law enforcement. It's impossible.
And maybe not in minutes.
In minutes, no. And seconds are an eternity waiting.
Well, you know that famous line, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Joe, thank you for the call and appreciate you sharing that information. That is fascinating. Let's drop down to line 3. I want to get David, who's in Marshall, Arkansas. Hey, David, you had a question for me here.
Yes, sir, I do. I started shooting when I was probably about 14, and I got my first gun when I was 15 or so, 14. Anyway, the whole point was that I was always told never, ever, ever dry fire anything, handgun, anything else. If you're going to dry fire it, put a dead round in it. By dead round, I mean spent cartridge, and drop a hammer on that. But you've been talking about this dry firing and working and everything. Is it newer guns? I got a 41 mag. And
all right, David, you got a bad phone, but let me tell you, here's the bottom line. You were given bad information. And I'm sorry, and I know we have in education, they call it the law of primacy. The thing you learn first is what sticks with you, unfortunately, because in this case, you got some bad info right off the bat. Every competitive shooter in the world dry fires. Everybody who is serious about practicing dry fires. If you aren't dry firing, you're giving away precious opportunities to practice your shooting, whether it's a draw, a reload, trigger press, keeping sights on the target. You're not going to hurt your gun. You're not going to hurt your gun. One more time, you're not going to hurt your gun. Dry fire every single day. It just, and some people are going to say, well, what about rim fires? Yeah, I know. People say rim fires. But I don't know anybody who's practicing self-defense or IDPA with rim fires. You should be using your centerfire pistol for all of that. Now, here's the thing, and let me just get this out, David, because I want to make sure everybody understands this. This is serious stuff. You're using a real gun. If you're going to dry fire, you have to have a dry fire room. And you have to do this thing, it's almost like with religious zealotry. And that is this. No ammo is ever allowed in that room. Not magazines, not loose rounds. You don't go in the room and unload your gun and then do it. No. Ammo is not allowed in that room, period. You unload your gun somewhere else. And by the way, when you unload a semi-automatic handgun, rack the slide 3 times. You have to be OCD about the thing. It's like, rack. Because that way, if you have forgotten to take the magazine out, it keeps throwing out live rounds, and we call that a clue. You need to get the magazine out of there. You're feeding fresh ammo into it. Take the magazine out, rack. Let them fall on the floor. Let the round fall on the floor. You can just bend over and pick it up. It's okay. Don't try to catch it. Don't try to be clever. Don't try to reach up. Just let it fall on the floor. Pick it up later. Then go into the room where you dry fire, and then you want to have a target that should the gun go bang, it catches the bullet. What would that be? Bookcase is good. Gun safe works. Refrigerator works. Expensive, but it works. But be pointing the gun at something that's not just a sheetrock wall where it can go through and possibly hit somebody else if you screwed up everything else and it goes bang. You have to do all of these things every single time. You got to say, okay, this is my dry fire space. Maybe it's in the garage. Wherever it is, ammo is not allowed in there. Dry firing is a critical and free way to practice. Now, how do you practice dry firing and make it worthwhile? Sights on target, press the trigger, hold sights on target. Keep the trigger press back and make sure that the sights don't move. And then you can work on slowly, not fast, slowly work on your draw, and then speed it up when you know you got it, and then work on your reloads. When you get to reloads, you may find, throw this out to you, you may find that you need dummy rounds, plastic inert dummy rounds in your magazine to get it to feed correctly. Some don't have a problem, some do. Just depends on your gun. And you can have those in there. But practice your quick reloads that way. Dry firing is a really great skill. It's a way to handle your gun often. It's a way to check your gun, make sure you don't have any dust bunnies in it. I highly recommend it. I appreciate the call, David. And, I know a lot of people have been told not to dry fire. Put that stuff away. Take advantage of it. It's free. There's no ammo involved, and it's a way that you can practice every single day. 866-TALK-GUN is our magic number here. If you'd like to join me, just give me a holler. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk.
For more than 70 years, Timney Triggers has been enhancing the shooter's experience. Whether it's a local competition, a day at the range, or even the hunt of a lifetime. Setting the standard in aftermarket triggers, Timney is now producing more than 170 models of triggers for bolt-action rifles, shotguns, AR rifles, and semi-automatic rifles. Proudly made in the USA since 1946. Find your new trigger at timneytriggers.com.
You got your carry permit, and that's good. But you know you could use more training. Get the DVDs, which have what you need. Springfield Armory presents Concealed Carry 1 and Concealed Carry 2 with Bata Group. Learn specific concealed carry skills from Top Gun fighting trainers. Get trained. Be prepared. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
When the U.S. military's elite units and law enforcement agencies across the globe demanded innovation and reliability, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. When world champion professional shooters demanded precision accuracy, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. So it's no surprise more and more civilian gun owners are refusing to settle for anything less. They're choosing Sig Sauer firearms, ammunition, electro-optics, suppressors, air guns, and training. Sig Sauer. Never settle.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of 1 football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org.
Trust Inceptor ARX, preferred defense for your self-defense ammunition. It features patented technology and an advanced lead-free polymer copper material for unprecedented terminal performance. Its non-hollow point round nose design means it feeds flawlessly and won't plug or fail to transfer energy on impact. Lightweight projectiles reduce weight in your carry gun and add velocity to all loads and calibers. Inceptor ARX is available in all popular handgun calibers. Learn more at InceptorAmmo.com.
This is interesting. Some people are saying, do people really use guns in self-defense? Could an individual really stop a mass shooter? Well, who would you go to that? Who would you go to find out about that? How about the FBI? The FBI just released a study titled Active Shooter Incidents in the United States in 2016-2017. A lot of the gun banners are not going to like the results. They designated 50 shootings in 2016 and 2017 as active shooter incidents, according to their study. 20 occurred in 2016, while 30 occurred in 2017. Armed and unarmed citizens engaged the shooter in 10 incidents. They safely and successfully ended the shootings in 8 of those incidents. So, let's see, 8, 50. Does that come out right? 8 out of 50. That couldn't be 16% of the time. Good guys were able to intervene, either with or without guns, and stop a mass murder. I was always told by CNN that never happens. It's so strange. I get confused at times. Not really. Line 2, Bruce is with us. Reno, Nevada. Bruce, you got some ideas for schools and how we can make them actually more secure.
Yeah. I was thinking, you know how in a casino they've got rotating doors where they're glass, you can see through them, and they have to be pushed? Well, if they're automated, where they actually rotate and have metal detectors, they can trap the shooter inside the door and even prevent them from getting inside the school.
So you have a revolving door like they have in hotels and things.
Yeah.
But you have bullet-resistant glass in there and a way to lock it and trap them inside. Interesting.
Exactly.
I've never heard of that system. I'm sure it exists.
I think that would be one of the greatest ways to prevent them from at least getting into school.
I love the story we heard earlier that said, the school put in a system of locks and they had to be buzzed in, but during the busy times during the day, they block the door open because otherwise it takes too long to let people in. Really? I mean, going, really, guys? So,
just get more doors.
Yeah, exactly. Going, oh my gosh, you know what that is? That's people who are not taking it seriously. It's not going to happen here. We don't have a problem here. Yeah, okay, until you do. And look, I thank you for the call. Every single place where they've had these mass murders pop up, they all said, we never thought that would happen here. That's so unusual. We never saw any signs, et cetera, all the good stuff. All the stuff, as you say, the feel-good BS stuff that they go through. Part of it, I don't want to make fun of it too much because part of it is a human response to a threat, to a stress situation. You imagine that there's not a problem. And if you can convince yourself that there's not a problem, you can reduce your stress level. You can reduce your worry. You can feel safe. Oh, back to that again. They keep talking about the goal is to feel safe. If you can pretend that everything is fine, you can feel safe. I find that people who, the more you study this, the more you realize that the world is not terribly horrible, but evil or crazy can pop up anywhere. At your school, at your church, in the mall, in your front yard, when you are checking your mail, getting at the mailbox, wherever. It can pop up anywhere. It doesn't make you crazy. Doesn't mean you got to be paranoid. It just means you have to pay attention, have that long look. By the way, did you do my test, exercise I asked you to do, where you start looking long? Don't just look immediately around you, but look across the street. Look out of the restaurant that you're in. So what's going on in the parking lot? Look long. If you did that, I'd love to hear the results of your work on that. It's an interesting exercise. It works really well for driving, but it also works well for just knowing what's going on around you. 866-TALK-GUNS. gun? Call me if you did the look-along experiment. All right, back with you. We had a caller who said, yeah, there are certain types of guns you may not want to dry fire. Shotguns with cast metal pins. Generally, I would agree. I probably wouldn't be doing this with shotguns. I'm thinking almost entirely of defensive handguns when I talk about dry firing. If you're going to dry fire shotguns, especially breech, break open, over and under double barrels, I would be using snap caps in those. Just kind of a heads up on that. Yeah. It's an interesting situation. By the way, coming up, we're going to have this story. It's incredible. You know Gunsight, the training academy. They were using QuickBooks to do their books and their billing and process their credit cards. And recently, QuickBooks says, we're not going to do business with you anymore because you guys sell guns. There's a whole story behind that. But it gets worse. And they said, and all that money that your customers have paid you for training in guns that we're holding, you don't get it. We're not going to give it to you. What? It's our money. It's been paid to us. You're just the outfit that's holding it. No. We'll get that whole story when we come back in just a few minutes here. It's incredible. We'll also be talking about Gunsight and active shooter training, school security, that type of thing. And we'll get some tips, some information on that. And that may be the kind of thing where you want to call in and ask certain questions. So just a thought for you there. Let's see. Line 1, Frank's with us out of Oklahoma with a thought. Hey, Frank, you're on.
Yes. After the guy called about the grand, that made me think of something. I just accidentally stumbled onto it. And there's a YouTube showing the different speeds of using the standard ball ammo that the gun was designed for, or say 200 plus 30-06 hunting ammo. And the speed of the rail was so fast that it could actually bend the rail using the high-powered stuff because it's not what the gun. And what I did, it showed to go get a vent, and I went to Brownell, and they have an adjustable vent that you put in the place of the plug at the end of the gas line for the recoil gases, and start out with it and just adjust it up slowly until your gun goes to working with the ammo that you're using.
Oh, that's interesting. So you can fine-tune. So you basically what you're really trying to do is to get the bolt velocity correct. As the bolt comes back, if it's going too fast, you can end up banging up and damaging your gun, but you can adjust the gas vent in it and work it that way. Did you know about that, or did you call the guys at Brownells? How did you find out about it?
I don't remember what I was looking for, and I stumbled onto that. and I also got is it the M14 is the same as the Grand except mag fed and 308?
Kind of, similar, yeah.
But you got to do the same thing for it too.
Okay, you just described the Brownells experience. I mean, I've had it so many times. So I'm going through the website or the catalog. I have actually stumbled on things where I said, I don't know what that is, but I think I want it. That's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was I don't know. It was something about Grands I was looking for, and it may have been on.
And then you're off to the races because you start finding things you want, and you learn things in the process. Hey, look, I got a scoot. I appreciate the call, Frank, because that's good information. If you have a Grand or an M1, you might want to take a look at what Brownells offers. Lots of cool accessories. Okay, when we come back, we're going to be talking about this crazy story of Quicken saying we're not only are we not going to do business with Gunsight, but we're not going to let you have your money that your customers have paid to you. I mean, that's just crazy. We'll also be talking about training, firearms training, security training. It's your chance to get in. Give me a holler right now. You could be first in line. 866-TALK-GUN, or just call me at Tom Talk Gun.